It is the first time we have seen extended footage of what it's going to be like in the world of Mass Effect Andromeda. This week, we got to see a combat video. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long, and it goes over exactly what the fighting will be like. We've heard about characters, we've heard about the overarching plot. Now let's hear about what the fight for Andromeda is going to be. Of course, I'm joined by Professor Fanny and Liam Brand. We have went through a deep dive on this one.
Oh, yes.
Really, really have. So we've seen a lot of things that we like, a lot of things that maybe we don't like. Let's begin. Right off the bat, when you're into this video, the first thing that you notice, Zach Fanny, what's the biggest thing? Like, it's a 5-minute video, overall takeaway, I guess.
How polished the mechanics are. Like Mass Effect always felt a little bit mechanically clunky, and it's improved, from 1 to 3. But again, this feels like we're getting the full benefit of having a giant studio create this game. It feels smooth, fast. It seems intuitive. I'm excited to dive into the action with these kinds of capabilities.
Liam Brand, you got to see the video too. You're playing through the Mass Effect franchise right now. What's your overall takeaway? We are going to do a deep dive. What's your overall takeaway?
Dramatic changing, just the dynamic of combat. It looks entirely different than anything you'd be used to. You're way less grounded. You're way less restricted. You're basically an ultimate power being, and it's kind of cool, but it's also a little bit concerning for me.
I am on the opposite side of this. I am not very happy about this bouncing fairy that we are now, a fairy in the traditional sense, of the writers, of the protagonist, of how the combat looks. Right off the bat, you look at the UI, first thing that I notice is the combat wheel is gone. For those that don't remember, in the first Mass Effect games, you press the button, it would pause combat, and in there, you could change weapons, you could use your different powers, and you could select where your squad mates go and the powers they use. BioWare has said that there are going to be some squad commands. How they're implemented isn't exactly clear yet, but it is not the same of what we've seen before. I really, really like that. I know a lot of other people didn't, but I love the idea of taking every fight strategically and really trying to overcome what was there. This kind of seems like what Liam said. You're one super soldier flying around trying to dart like a little wasp at your enemy, as opposed to two teams trying to eliminate something.
Very infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
See, I didn't really like the combat wheel in the original game. And I liked how each game streamlined it more and more, because I loved being in the moment and having to rely on a biotic power, like while I was, while time was of the essence.
Yeah.
And breaking up the action with this pausing wheel doesn't really work. Like, it works for Dragon Age Inquisition and the Dragon Age games where you can have that kind of perspective. But with Mass Effect, it seemed always like it had its feet in both camps. And taking away the combat wheel, I think, is at least moving it into one direction as opposed to keeping it in both. And
from the video, you can use powers, though. They're grafted onto the
joint. They're grafted onto the bumpers. And so you press one for one, the other one for the other one, and then both at the same time.
Yeah. And those are three powers that you could have. One of the probably the biggest differences that we see are the jump jets. You are boosting side to side, you fly up in the air, and you can even levitate in that position and then shoot from there. Liam, you said it's very much like an Infamous game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And especially in the sense that it's very... even in Second Son, if you recall, you can switch between the different powers that you possessed in an instant, and it would give you a new skill set. So I think it's even kind of like that in that sense, but especially in the way that you're constantly darting around and teleporting everywhere. There's a lot of verticality to it almost, but I really did enjoy the grounded feeling of the past two games. So it's going to be something to at least get used to.
I didn't like that. I felt like, gravity was, higher and in the Mass Effect games. You can't really hop. You can only jump over barriers. I like that they're going to kind of improve the level design where you can actually not fight in hallways and jump up and move around in whatever way you see fit.
Let's learn more about the weapons.
In Mass Effect Andromeda, there are 4 categories of guns: pistols, shotguns, and sniper and assault rifles, plus a range of melee weapons for up-close combat. All guns are available to every player. There are no class restrictions.
So that's huge right away. All guns, all players. I can't really complain about that as much as I do want to be a biotic with a weapon that's a pistol. I can still do that. We got to see some of these weapons. We got the Carnifex.
Carnifex, my favorite.
That incredible pistol from the first game. We got the Locust.
Hate it.
Terrible pistol that
Never
no one
use
liked. Liam Brand, you get an Asari sword.
Yes.
So that is a huge change. Before it was just a bionic punch that you could kind of poke at things and see what happened. Now there's real weapons. We have Asari swords. We have new Angara weapons, which is the new species, and a Krogan battle hammer. There seems to be only one little animation you do with it, though. Liam Brand, I know that stuck in your craw a little bit.
I know, especially because I've just been playing like a little bit of For Honor, a little bit of Neo. I want some of that sword play, some of that combo action, but instead it's a lot of just the hold down a button for a big slash, and that's all you get.
I do know, Fanny, you were talking about how in the original games you were just waiting to level up to get that extra gun because of how you wanted to play.
I love this because I always had in my head when I was playing a Mass Effect game that I want to be like the adept biotic sniper, like infiltrate far range, and you have to wait, to upgrade to get that secondary weapon halfway through the game, and now I can start with that and really start customizing my loadouts right from the get-go. So I'm really happy with this.
Interestingly, too, the weapons themselves are connected to the narrative. We have Milky Way weapons, which are physical projectiles, what we're kind of used to. Revenant weapons, which don't really have ammo. They're more the laser beams from Mass Effect 2, and introduced a Helios cluster, I guess just that particular universe weapons, galaxy weapons, that are more heat-synced, plasma-based, a lot of customizability. So really, really cool. A huge range of things you can do. I don't see that getting boring anytime soon. Also, we have different skill classes. Now you don't have to choose one pathway. You can either be anything, really. You can be what you want, Fanny, like you said there.
Oh, finally.
You can connect all those things. Or if you want, you can be a little bit of both. So they are marginalized in 3 different ways. We have combat, we have tech, and we have biotics. From those upgrades, you then choose individual pathways and build them up, but those are not singular to one pathway. You want a specific biotic power, you can do that. You want a specific tech power, you can do that. Don't see any social upgrades just yet, though.
That is my main concern. I want to know about it. I want some Alpha Protocol type, options and diversity. They got rid of Paragon and Renegade, so we're not restricted to A or B, good or bad. But this is an opportunity to develop your character's personality, to upgrade their charm or their intimidation or their bartering and stuff like that.
Well, that's not to say it isn't there. We still have to see more, but it wasn't featured prominently. They didn't show it off. The things we did see, though, on the tech side was hacking, using the cryo to freeze, the fire to burn, invasion to go into some of the other enemies that were tech-based. The biotics, though, that's what really shines.
So we got all the old favorites back, but it seems like with a lot of the powers, they've multiplied by a factor of 2, or at least like 1.5 times. Like there's a cluster of other powers that you can get, like backlash. And
isn't that a bit of an issue, though? Because think about how you used to play the game. You had maybe singularity or throw or something like that. And now that you only have 3 power buttons to
that's
use,
what I was gonna say,
what do you think?
It's going to be tough. Like I think you're going to have to make the choices that you made in the other games where you're thinking, okay, what do I really want to do? Like the singularity warp combo to make it explode and really stick to that, or the throw pull combo, or backlash and shockwave, or whatever. But I think that's good. Like it's good to have these choices before you and then figure out, okay, how do I want to streamline my upgrades?
Overall, Liam Brand, what did you really like? What did you take away from this first look at our combat? We got to take a quick break soon, so very quickly, what did you think?
Looks like a lot of fun. Looks very chaotic, action-packed. Could pay off or could kind of get stale after a little while. We'll see once we get our hands on the full game.
Professor Fanning?
I like the speed. I like the fluidity. I'm really excited to get these controls so naturalized that I just feel like I am a explorer with these abilities, jumping right into the middle of the action.
And for me, I'm real trepidatious. I loved being a battle wizard, trying to figure out how to take advantage of one opportunity. This looks a lot like hopping and jumping in ways that I don't know if my slow thumbs can match, but it does look sharp. It looks like they know what they're doing. It might not be for me, though. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back after this.